I trained my grip strength every day for 30 days. This included using these grip trainers and doing 500 reps every single day in each hand. Here's what happened. Claims are made by the companies that produce these grip trainers to include strengthening your wrist, forearms, and hands. My intent with this challenge was to see if this was simply a marketing ploy or if there was any legitimacy behind the claims. So on day one, I went ahead and got my forearm and hand measurements to see what we came up with. And as you can see, each forearm was about 12 inches, with my right hand being about 9 inches and my left hand being about 8.75 inches. And for the measurements of the hand, I would take it from the width and wrap the tape measure all the way around. And that's how I got the numbers for each hand. By no means are these numbers impressive, especially with an imbalance in each hand. So I was definitely curious to see if doing these unilateral movements in each hand would help fix the imbalance, and of course, if my hands would get stronger. It's day number 2, and so far I'm feeling pretty good. My grip strength felt pretty decent today, even though I don't typically train grip. But overall, it felt fine. I was able to do the 500 reps, and I've got to say that I was expecting it to be a little bit more difficult from that perspective, but instead, I think I'm mostly just feeling it in my fingers from getting that grip all the way down. So anyways, feeling good. Gonna keep this momentum going, and we'll check in just a little bit. As previously mentioned, I did 500 reps on each hand. However, whenever I did start this out, I wasn't using one where you could adjust the pressure like this. Instead, I was using a simple one that I typically carry at work with 2 prongs. Even with that said, getting through the first day was pretty difficult. 500 reps is a lot, and I definitely underestimated how much this would actually take. However, I knew if I got through the first day, I would be fine. With that said, after about 350 reps, your hands are definitely going to start feeling it. For me personally, one reoccurring pain point was my left ring finger. In the joint, it would get a little bit tight, and I'd experience a little bit of pain in my joint. But for the most part, that wasn't too big of an issue. After a couple of weeks, I definitely started to notice the reoccurring issue of some fatigue in my forearms, especially on days where I was doing movements like deadlift or barbell row. All right, it is day 10 of doing grip training every day for 30 days. So far, the things that I'm noticing the most are the pumps in my forearms, as well as a little bit of grip soreness whenever I go to do things like heavier deadlifts or hanging from a bar for like pull-ups or hanging leg raises. But overall, I'm feeling pretty good, and I feel like my hands are now just starting to adapt over the last day or two. I'm excited to see what comes after this, but stay tuned for more. With that said, there were a lot of pros to this challenge, one of them being that I could pretty much do this anywhere. I could do it at my desk while I was thinking or reading over documents, or I could just sit on my couch and kind of just watch TV and mindlessly count through the reps. And while it was hard, it was pretty nice to be able to do this pretty much any time of the day, anywhere. And I will say that made the challenge very sustainable and accomplishable. When I first started, my typical day would include doing about 25 reps in each hand for about 20 sets. However, by day 12, I was actually able to accomplish my first set of 50 reps in each hand. And then by the end of the challenge, I was able to do 10 sets for 50 reps. It wasn't until about week 1 that I bought this one, mostly because I forgot the one at my work. So having 2 around was a little bit easier for me to hit these during the weekends. With that said, you really only need one. It was just something that became a matter of convenience over anything. And with progress ramping up pretty quickly, I was interested to see if I was going to be able to maintain that progress throughout the entire challenge. But overall, I will say that one takeaway from this challenge was that I was definitely getting stronger. We are 3 weeks into training my grip, and I've done 500 reps for 21 days straight now, and I've got to say, so far, I don't really notice a whole lot. Maybe my hands have gotten a little bit bigger, maybe my forearms have gotten a little bit more vascular, but nothing really to report home. However, I'm definitely getting stronger and getting through it a lot quicker. We'll see what the results ends up being at the end of the day. I haven't measured my forearms or anything yet, but I do wear a wedding ring usually, and my gold wedding ring isn't any smaller on my finger. It pretty much is still a little bit loose, especially from all the running and the weight loss from the last year or so. Anyways, we're going to keep it going, finish strong, and see what the next 9 days has in store for us. Well, I did prove that I was getting stronger. There was another aspect to all of this when the challenge was said and done. 30 days had passed. One thing I needed to determine was did this really help add size to my forearms or my hands? All right, it is day 30 of doing grip training for the last 30 days. I've got to say, I think it's gone pretty well. Definitely gotten stronger. I'm able to rep these out in about 50 reps per set. And overall, I think my forearms may or may not have gotten bigger, but they definitely look better, a little bit more vascular, and a little bit fuller, but that could also just be from the pump. Anyways, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited to put this challenge to an end. 500 reps is quite a bit, but definitely feeling good about it, and I'm excited to see what the final results are gonna be when I finally measure my forearms. All right, the left arm is at about 12.5, as is the right arm. Pretty good symmetry. As far as the hands go, we're still sitting at about 9-inch width, at least on the left hand. The same for the right hand. So if I'm being honest, to my surprise, my forearms and my hands each got bigger, despite the fact that it wasn't substantial. I got about a 1/2 inch on my forearms, which is pretty decent. And even though my right hand didn't get any bigger, my left hand is a little bit more symmetrical, getting about a 1/4 inch bigger since the start of this challenge. So overall, not too bad. As you can see, I definitely saw some improvements in both my forearms as well as my hands. By the time the challenge ended, my forearms were about 12.5 inches per forearm, and I was measuring at the biggest point of my forearm in order to determine what the size of each forearm was. As far as my hands go, while my right hand didn't get any bigger, the imbalance on each hand ended up improving, with each hand coming out to about 9 inches. If I'm being honest, I was pretty surprised by the overall progress that was made. I've seen people use these little hand grippers for pretty much my entire life, and I never really understood if they worked or how they worked, I guess, but overall I think after doing this challenge, I definitely proved to myself at least that these actually work better than expected. Overall, I was getting stronger, I managed to fix an imbalance, and my forearms got bigger. One thing that didn't change was that my finger size presumably didn't get any bigger. My wedding ring is still a little bit loose, and it's loose because I started running more after my wedding, so my overall physique just got trimmed down. And if I'm being honest, that was kind of a motivation to doing this challenge. But it would be a little bit optimistic to expect my finger sizes to change dramatically over the course of 30 days. The wedding ring slowly got bigger on me as time went on because I was losing weight from the running. But that's more of a side note than anything. Now with this said, I will continue to use the grip strength trainers just as I kind of hang out. No specific reps or anything. And if you are looking to do this, I would say 500 reps is probably a little bit excessive. You'd probably be able to see the same or similar results over 30 days if you just did 250 reps. And you wouldn't have to deal with like the forearm soreness or potential joint issues in your hands. Then again, if you did want to do this, it's something that you could do at your own discretion and work up to 100 reps a day, and then from there, work up to 200, and so on and so forth. However, as far as the marketing claims regarding your forearms and hands getting stronger, I guess your wrist, but if I'm being honest, I didn't know how to track or measure for that. I would say it actually holds up. But I think moving forward, I'm not just gonna go through reps. I'll probably also work on isometric holds to improve my grip strength. Anyways, that was my experience doing all of these reps with these grip trainers. If you've done anything similar, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what feedback you got from doing challenges similar to this, and if it really worked out for you, or if it didn't. Anyways, that's gonna be it for today's video, but before I go, shameless plug for Turos Fitness. I do run a coaching business for accountability coaching to keep people in check and in line with their fitness goals. And with summer coming around the corner, I know a lot of people want to lose weight and get their beach body ready. So feel free to click the link down below and get started with your free consultation. You'll be working with me, nobody else, and it'll be a one-on-one experience that allows you to accomplish your goals and stay consistent. Anyways, that's about it for today's video. If you enjoyed today's content, please be sure to comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you haven't already. And until next time, keep it together. But don't feel like you need to go now. This video right here was recommended by the YouTube algorithm just for you.